the question that shouldn't exist. Let me ask you something that most One Piece fans refuse to even consider. What if the strongest Straw Hat is not the captain? Yeah, you heard that right. What if the man everyone calls the future Pirate King, Monkey D. Luffy, is not actually the strongest fighter on his own crew? Because standing right beside him is a swordsman who has done things that make even Yonko hesitate. That man is Roronoa Zoro. Now, before anyone runs to the comments screaming, "Captain is always stronger," yes, that's the rule. In pirate history, the captain leads because the captain is the strongest. That's how the legends worked. But here's where things start getting strange, because throughout the story, there are moments where Zoro doesn't just fight like a commander, he fights like a monster. Moments where he survives things that should kill him, moments where he stands against enemies that even captains struggle with. And every time it happens, fans start asking the same dangerous question. What if Zoro isn't just the right hand of the future Pirate King? What if he's something even more terrifying? What if the Straw Hats are the only pirate crew in history where the second in command might secretly be just as dangerous as the captain? And once you start looking at the evidence, the idea becomes harder and harder to ignore. So today, we're going to do something most fans avoid. We're going to break this down. Every moment, every fight, every insane feat, to answer the one question that shouldn't exist. Is it possible that Roronoa Zoro might actually be stronger than Monkey D. Luffy? And trust me, by the end of this video, you might not see the Straw Hat crew the same way again. The rule of the Pirate King's crew. Let's slow down for a second, because in the world of One Piece, there is a rule that almost never breaks. In every legendary pirate crew, the captain is always the strongest. Not slightly stronger, not equal, the strongest. Think about the greatest pirate crew in history, the crew of Gol D. Roger, the Pirate King. At his side stood the legendary Silvers Rayleigh. Rayleigh was a monster, a man who could clash with admirals, a man whose haki alone could paralyze armies. But even with all that power, everyone still knew one thing: Roger was stronger. That's how pirate crews work. The captain carries the absolute authority because the captain carries the absolute strength. The same rule applies everywhere. Yonko crews, revolutionary armies, even the Marines. There's always one person at the top. But then we look at the Straw Hat crew, and something feels different. Because standing beside Monkey D. Luffy is not just a loyal right hand. Standing beside him is Roronoa Zoro, a man whose ambition is not small. Zoro isn't trying to be a commander. He isn't chasing fame. He isn't following Luffy for power. Zoro's dream is far more dangerous: to become the strongest swordsman in the entire world. And when you think about that for a moment, you start realizing something terrifying. If Zoro truly reaches that level, if he surpasses every swordsman alive, if he stands above monsters like Dracul Mihawk, then the Straw Hat crew might become the only pirate crew in history where the second in command might secretly be just as dangerous as the captain himself. And once you start looking at the evidence, the idea becomes harder and harder to ignore. So today, we're going to do something most fans avoid. We're going to break this down. Every moment, every fight, every insane feat, to answer the one question that shouldn't exist. Is it possible that Roronoa Zoro might actually be stronger than Monkey D. Luffy? And trust me, by the end of this video, you might not see the Straw Hat crew the same way again. The monster called Zoro. Now let's talk about the real problem, because Roronoa Zoro is not normal, not even by the insane standards of One Piece. This is a man who fights like his life already ended yesterday. No fear, no hesitation, just pure battle instinct. His sword mastery alone is terrifying. 3 swords, relentless pressure, attacks that slice through steel, mountains, and monsters. But the real reason people fear Zoro is not just his strength, it's his endurance. Because Zoro doesn't fight like someone trying to survive, he fights like someone who already accepted death. And nothing proves that better than that moment. The moment that turns Zoro from a strong fighter into a legend. When the warlord Bartholomew Kuma arrived, the entire Straw Hat crew was already broken. Captain down, crew exhausted, everyone at their limit. And Kuma gave them a choice. Someone had to take all the pain, all the damage, all the suffering that Monkey D. Luffy had endured. Every wound, every broken bone, every drop of agony. Zoro didn't debate, he didn't negotiate, he simply stepped forward and said, "I'll take it." and Kuma gave it to him. All of it. The pain exploded into Zoro's body like a storm, bones screaming, blood pouring, his body literally collapsing under the weight of another man's suffering. Most characters in this world would die from that, instantly. But when the crew later found Zoro standing there, covered in blood, barely alive, what did he say? Nothing happened. That moment alone tells you everything you need to know, because a man who can endure that is not just strong, he's a monster. The Haki moment that shocked the world. Now let's talk about the moment that made the entire fandom pause, the moment people started whispering, wait, how strong is this guy really? During the war on the rooftop, the worst generation standing against two monsters, Kaido, Big Mom, two Yonko, two emperors who rule the seas. And then they unleashed something insane, a combined attack called Haki, a blast of destruction so overwhelming it looked like the sky itself was collapsing. Mountains would disappear, entire islands would be erased. Nobody there could fully stop it. Not Monkey D. Luffy, not Trafalgar D. Water Law, not Eustace D. Kid. But in that split second, Roronoa Zoro stepped forward, 3 swords raised, and for a brief moment, he blocked it. Not deflected, not dodged, blocked. A combined Yonko attack. Even if it lasted only a moment, that moment changed everything. Because the attack was so powerful, it still shattered his body afterwards. Dozens of bones broken, his body pushed past its limits. But here's the terrifying part. That attack came from 2 emperors of the sea, and Zoro didn't instantly disappear. He held it back long enough for everyone else to survive. Think about that for a second. If someone can momentarily stand against the combined power of 2 Yonko, how strong are they really? And more importantly, if that same monster ever fought his captain seriously, what would actually happen? Dangerous. Zoro awakens the power of kings. Now the story gets even more dangerous, because Zoro didn't just become strong, he unlocked something only legends possess. During the battle in Wano, something unexpected happened. Roronoa Zoro awakened Conqueror's Haki, not the basic version, not the type that just knocks people unconscious, but the advanced form, the same terrifying power used by monsters like Shanks, Goldie Roger, and Kaido. This ability allows a fighter to coat their attacks with the will of a king. No touching, just pure domination. When Zoro used it, his sword started leaking black lightning, the exact same visual effect seen when emperors clash. And that's when the question became unavoidable, because this power isn't normal. Only a handful of people in the entire world possess it, people destined to stand at the very top of the seas. So now, ask yourself something. If Zoro has the same kingly power as the greatest pirates in history, why do we automatically assume he must always be weaker than Monkey D. Luffy? Is it because he's the captain, or because the story tells us that's how it should be? Because once a swordsman starts wielding a power of kings, the line between first commander and future legend becomes very thin. The devil fruit advantage. Now hold on, before the Zoro fans start celebrating, we have to flip the perspective, because there's one thing Zoro does not have, a devil fruit. Meanwhile, Monkey D. Luffy is walking around with one of the most ridiculous powers ever introduced in One Piece, the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika. And this fruit completely changes the conversation. For years, everyone thought Luffy just had a normal rubber ability, simple, stretchy, creative. But during the battle with Kaido, the truth exploded. Luffy awakened Gear 5, and suddenly the rules of combat stopped making sense. His body doesn't just stretch anymore, it rewrites reality around him. Ground turns into rubber, lightning becomes a toy. Even Kaido, one of the strongest creatures alive, looked confused fighting him. Gear 5 isn't just a power-up, it's cartoon physics turned into a weapon. Luffy can laugh while fighting, he can bounce back from damage, he can fight in ways that no swordsman, no warrior, no normal fighter can predict. And that's where the debate gets complicated, because Zoro is terrifying, his haki, his swords, his endurance. But Luffy has something different. He has a god-level devil fruit awakening. So now the real question becomes dangerous. If Zoro represents pure warrior strength and Luffy represents godlike freedom through Gear 5, which one actually stands higher? The truth about Gear 5. Here's where things get insanely wild, because Gear 5 it's a reality-bending nightmare. When Luffy goes Gear 5, the battlefield itself becomes his toy. Ground, rubber. Attacks, bendy, stretchy, unpredictable. Damage, he laughs it off. This isn't about power scaling anymore, it's absolute chaos in combat. Roronoa Zoro can endure, slice, and crush enemies like a monster. He's a living tank. But Gear 5, it rewrites the rules. It allows Luffy to attack in ways that no swordsman can anticipate, bend space around him, and manipulate his own body into impossible shapes. Fans have seen him dodge, stretch, bounce, and laugh while doing the impossible. So here's the real question. If Zoro faced Luffy at full Gear 5 with all reality-bending powers unleashed, could he actually survive? Could his swords, his haki, his stamina withstand the chaos of a god-tier devil fruit awakening? Think about it, because in this fight, nothing is normal anymore. This is why the debate isn't simple. Strength isn't just raw power, it's about what breaks the rules first. And Gear 5, it's rewriting everything. The hidden possibility fans ignore. Now let's flip the script. Here's a thought that makes fans lose their minds. What if Zoro had a devil fruit too? Think about it. Zoro's Haki mastery, his indestructible endurance, his 3-sword style that can cut mountains. Now, add a devil fruit on top of that. Maybe something that boosts his speed. Maybe something that amplifies his strength. Maybe something reality warping, just like Luffy's Gear 5. The combination? Absolutely terrifying. A swordsman who can slice through reality itself, with haki that dominates even Yonko-level opponents. That's not just strong, that's unstoppable. And that's the part fans often forget, because without the devil fruit, Zoro is a monster. With one, he could easily rival Luffy, maybe even surpass him. So here's the ultimate question to leave you with. Is Zoro already strong enough to be Luffy's equal, or could he be something even worse if given the right power? This is the forbidden question, the one that makes every Straw Hat fan sweat. The real reason Zoro might never surpass Luffy. Here's the cold, brutal truth. No matter how strong Zoro gets, there's a reason he might never officially surpass Luffy. It's a storytelling law in One Piece. The captain must always hold the crown. The future Pirate King can't be dethroned, even by the deadliest swordsman alive. But let's be honest, Zoro is dangerously close. He trains harder, he endures more, he fights like someone who could take on entire armies alone. Fans have seen him absorb attacks that would kill ordinary Yonko commanders, survive battles that break mountains, and push beyond human limits, all without a devil fruit. So yes, the narrative keeps Luffy on top, but in terms of raw strength, haki mastery, and sheer terror on the battlefield, Zoro is so close to breaking the hierarchy, it's scary. And that's why this debate will never die. Could Zoro beat Luffy if the rules didn't exist? Think about it. The final debate. Now let's end with a bang. Here's the moment that fans have been waiting for. If Zoro and Luffy fought seriously, no holds barred, who would win? Think about every battle we've seen. Zoro blocking Yonko-level attacks, Luffy bending reality with Gear 5, endurance, haki, strategy, raw destruction, all on the line. This isn't just a fight. This is the ultimate clash of captain versus swordsman right in front of your eyes. So here's my challenge to you. Drop your answer in the comments. Don't hold back. Make your case. Argue your points. Defend your favorite. Because this isn't just speculation, this is a full-on debate waiting to explode. Who will win, Zoro or Luffy? Wait, is Zoro actually stronger than Luffy? So after everything we talked about, the debate becomes impossible to ignore. Because when you remove all the crazy abilities, no devil fruits, no cartoon physics, no reality-bending powers, just pure combat skill, haki, and raw willpower, what do you see? You see Roronoa Zoro, a warrior who carved his strength from nothing but discipline, training, and an unbreakable dream. But you also see Monkey D. Luffy, a fighter whose power grows every time he pushes past his limits and refuses to give up. One fights like a storm, the other fights like a blade that cuts through anything. And when you really think about it, without devil fruits, without Gear 5, without the absurd power of the Hito Hito no Mi model Nika, the gap between Luffy and Zoro suddenly becomes much smaller than people think. Maybe even close enough for the fight to go either way. But here's where things get even more interesting, because today we only looked at one side of the debate. We talked about what happens if devil fruits didn't exist, but in part 2, we're going to flip the entire argument upside down. We're going to break down something even crazier. What happens if both of them fight at their absolute peak? That means Gear 5 Luffy at full power, King of Hell Zoro with advanced Conqueror's Haki. No holding back, no protecting the crew, just a full, serious battle between the future Pirate King and his strongest swordsman. And when you really analyze their feats, Haki, speed, endurance, and attack power, the outcome might not be what you expect. So before part 2 drops, I want to hear your take, right now. Who wins in a real fight, Luffy or Zoro? Because in the next video, we're breaking down the battle step by step. And trust me, this debate is about to get way more insane.